Hi, everybody. Sevilla Morgan here. Yes, it's me in the flesh, well, video form. I know that most of you are used to just hearing my voice behind the mic, audio style, but I thought that, it would be nice to every once in a while come out and do a video cast. I call them video cast, video podcast. And so I just wanted to meet with you for a while. Thank you for stopping by. And I want to remind those who are new listeners, as well as the old listeners, the consistent listeners, thank you so much for consistently listening to my podcast, 21st Century Hannah, our podcast. I want to remind everyone that 21st Century Hannah, the platform, the ministry, whatever you want to call it, was created to create awareness for the woman and the man who are childless not by choice. There are many men and women around the world, millions of us, who wanted but could not have children. Some are still trying, and I applaud you for that. I stand with you as you continue to try. I hope that your dreams come true. But some of us will never have a child. At least we will never carry a child. And I'm one of those people. And so I really set my platform up for people who will probably never carry a child. I wanted to spread the good news that we can still live a joyful and relevant life. And I don't want you to give up hope. I don't want you to sideline the rest of your life because things did not exactly go as planned. You know, in life typically does not go as planned. Things happen, and it just so happens that this is more of a heart issue, and so it hurts a little bit more. But even so, we can still live a joyful and relevant life. I'm just here to ask you to hang in there. Do the best with what you do have. Do the best with what you have been given. We all have been given something. It may not be what we wanted or what we hoped for, but we have all been given something. Take that thing and work with it. Like we say here in the US, work it. Work with what you have. Don't ever think that you got nothing. I know there are days, I have felt that way, that I got shorted. I got nothing. And I got none of my dreams that I prayed for and hoped for. None of it happened. And that is one way of looking at it, but I would prefer to look at what I really do have. I do have wonderful parents and siblings and nephews, extended family who care truly about me and how I feel and what's going on with me, who call and whom I can call and just check in with. I'm surrounded by good people. And so I'm thankful for that because I know that there are many people around the world who they have no one to rely on. They've been through something horrible, terrible, and then on top of it, they have no one to rely on. And it's hard to imagine for many of us. But if you don't have that situation, if you're not in that situation, if you're in a situation where yes, you ended up childless, not by choice, but you have people around you who care. They may not always understand what you're going through, what you've been through, how you're feeling sometimes, but they care, and you know they care. So allow them to care, and you hang in there and work with what you do have. You may have an education where you can turn around and educate someone else. You may work in a place where you are the light, the only light in that place. You may have some family members that everyone stays away from, but you may be their only light. Just do the best you can with what you have and hang in there. I keep saying hang in there, but I say it because there are days when it's difficult to do. It's difficult to think about, life without the children that you wanted. It's difficult to see some of the news stories where you see parents mistreating the children that they do have, cursing at their children, killing their children, I hate to say. I mean, we see it all the time. It's in the news, it happens around the world. And sometimes we can step back and say, see, God, I would never have done that to my child. And He knows that. He knows. But He also knows why He answers the way He answers when we pray and our prayers are seemingly not answered. Just hang in there. Do the best with what you have and encourage someone else. It's when you take your mind off of yourself and you encourage others, that you forget about, it's not that you actually really forget, but you put aside at least momentarily the things and the thoughts that you have about your situation when you can encourage others. Maybe that mother that's abusing her children can, can stand a little bit of help. Not you going and intruding now. Be careful. But if you can help, offer. And many times people will take you up on your offer, and other times they won't. But even if they say no, you can still encourage them from afar. You can pray for them. You can speak positive words to them and just do the best you can in your corner of the world. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the best with what I can in my corner of the world. And I'm hoping that that corner of the world ends up being the entire world, where I can create awareness around the world that there is this group of people whose hearts hurt. Sometimes it's just a low hum of a hurt. Sometimes it's explosive, and you wonder, why me? What happened? What did I do wrong? Because you recall, as I do, that from the time I was a child, that I just expected to grow up and get married and have kids. Those were the two biggest prayers, especially as I got into my 20s, that I would get married and have children. And so imagine my chagrin when it did not happen. And in my most previous episode, the episode called Conversations, I discussed a conversation that I had with someone, and I never said if it was male or female, but it was a man actually. And he told me in our conversation that from a very young age, he knew he was going to grow up, get married, and have kids, and it didn't happen. They couldn't have kids. And so that's why I mentioned, I know in most of my previous episodes that I mentioned women, and as a woman, that's who I would reach out to. But then I started, having these conversations with men out of nowhere who would say, I'm childless not by choice too. And it dawned on me, wait a minute. If a woman can be childless not by choice, why can't a man? But we never think about that, especially as women, because we just figure, they have it together. Maybe they didn't want to have kids, or they're okay with it. Many of the things that people with children think about us as women as well. Think about that. They think that because we don't have any kids, that we didn't want any, we don't care for children, we don't like children, and we don't understand what it's like to be a mother. You get that a lot. All of those things pertain to men as well. So if you listen to my previous podcast conversations, listen to it again, and then you'll see that that person that I was talking to was a man. You'll realize men and women, we suffer the same. We may have different ways of showing it. You know, we all know women are a little bit more emotional. We're more apt to speak to each other, especially if we trust each other. We'll speak to each other about what's going on in our lives, and men just don't do that. They kind of internalize things where we externalize things, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's how they were created, and that's how we were created. Sometimes our signals get mixed up because we don't think alike as men and women, and that's fine. But that's why we always say, those of us who know, that communication is key. Communicate, communicate, communicate. And once we communicate with each other as men and women, we'll realize that men are going through the same hurts many times as women, and that we just need to take it easy with each other. Bottom line, we just need to be nicer to each other and realize that even if we are not all living the same lives, that it's okay. It's okay if you don't get to take the kids to practice on a Saturday morning and maybe your sister does. That does not make you a second class citizen. It doesn't make you a lesser person. Maybe go to the game with your sister and enjoy your company while she enjoys her children. Enjoy the company of each other. If that can't happen, pray for your sister or your brother who has children. Pray for the children. Help out where you can, when you can. but never let anyone make you feel second class. I've said this in previous episodes. Don't let anyone make you feel as a second class citizen or person because you did not have the children that you wanted. Don't make you feel like you are not a family unit because maybe you're a single and childless. You are still a human being and you are still a family unit. And I say this a lot because I know that, there are different cultures around the world. Fortunately, living in a Western culture, it's not so bad to be childless, not by choice, but there are some cultures where you are, I know you are. I've read about it. I've seen, the videos and the clips and the just everything. As I look around the world, as I continue to do research on childlessness around the world, I know that some of you are having a really tough time not being able to have children. I know that a lot of you, your families are waiting, your in laws, the grandparents, or the parents of the couples who can't have children are. I know you're meeting it, for less lack of a better term. You are meeting it right now, and I pray for you all constantly that God will have mercy on you and have mercy on your family members, and that He will not give you any more than you can bear. But I know that for some of you, your culture demands that you produce a child, and if you do not, you can be put aside or put away or divorced. And a lot of times it's not even the woman whose problem it is physically, it could be the man. But some cultures blame the woman, even though it could be the man that's having the physical or medical issue. And so know that I'm aware of that when I speak to the issue and the platform and the awareness of childless not by choice. I'm not simply talking about those who are like myself, never going to be able to carry a child, or those who are suffering and paying for and dealing with infertility, going through the IVF program, some of you more than once or twice. I recognize all of that. I will speak to all of that in coming episodes, and I will speak to the cultures around the world where women are just going through some really tough and difficult times because they have not been able to produce. I'm very and fully aware of the cultures around the world and what happens to women who cannot have children. So I just ask you to please hang in there, to just do the best you can with what you have, and I hope that you meet with mercy, all of us, whether we're in a Western culture, Eastern culture, whatever culture we're in, we happen to be childless not by choice. Because even in the Western culture, we can have difficult times too. It's just not as bad as some other cultures, but we have times where people say silly things, they make silly comments, and we are all human beings at the end of the day, regardless of the culture we're in. As women who are childless, we wanted children, we all have the same feelings, whether we live in a Western culture where we can go days and weeks and maybe even months without um, being accosted with silly comments, or the woman who must wake up every day to the fact that her husband may put her aside, or her husband has and his family, they have put you aside because you did not bear children. I know that this whole childless not by choice issue runs a full gamut of emotions and issues and fears and depression and everything, but just know that I am creating awareness. It's slowly but surely. To me, it's slow. I don't know. But to me, it's slowly but surely. But I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do the best that I can to get the word out and make this an everyday conversation, a worldwide conversation, that we don't want pity. We don't want sympathy. We just want some empathy. So, empathy, and I talk about this in my March newsletter, and I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. But empathy, I think, is what we would prefer. I don't think most people want pity for what they've been through or what they're going through. We just want somebody to at least try to understand and be empathetic with what's going on with us. So, if you're a mom and you're listening to this, and you have a sister or brother or a family member who does not have children, they're not necessarily okay with not having children. Comments like, well, you don't understand what it's like to have a child, or you're not a woman until you have a child, or the little digs that come from family and friends. We hear what you're saying. We hear what you're saying. We may not always respond, and it's best not to always respond to every little jab and every dig that we get, because we'll end up having to play the defense on a daily basis, and it gets old, it makes us tired, and it makes us seem like we're the crazy people who, you know, didn't have the children, so we were not acting right, when we're the ones that are having to field these comments, these little jabs all the time. So, yes, we have to choose our battles, but I would ask those who have children to be a little bit more empathetic. And if you're not sure what to say to the man or the woman who is childless, not by choice, don't say anything. Just leave it alone. Don't make comments like, well, it was God's will, or their children are not worth the trouble. They're a lot of trouble, and be glad you have your free time, and all the little comments that come along. And you don't understand when your children are running around the restaurant, you don't understand what it's like to have a child. We understand that you can calm your child down and make them not run around the restaurant. It's not that we're being hateful because we didn't get the children and you have the children. We're not trying to tell you how to train your child. We just understand that you understand that you can train your child. You can train your child to behave. It may take time and it may take effort, but that's what having a child is all about. Patience and effort and love. And we understand that even though we don't have the children, we understand that it takes patience, effort, and love. So we don't really want to hear that you don't understand what it's like to have children, or you don't you don't have any kids, so you have free time. All the little comments that come along. No, we just want empathy. And so I just wanted to put that in there, not trying to step on anybody's toes, not trying to create division, because that's not what this is all about. I think that especially as women, we can all help each other, whether we have children or not. We can help each other, whether we're helping those with children help their children, or whether we are just, standing by, letting them know I'm here for you if you need me. But as a childless woman, it doesn't mean I have all this free time on my hands. It means that I have a schedule. My schedule may be different than yours, but I do have a schedule, and I am a family unit, and I'm not hateful. I'm happy that you had the children, but I am a family unit. You cannot call on me at the last minute and expect me to jump and babysit because you had a last minute. If I can help you last minute, I will, but that doesn't mean I have to. Don't be mad at me because you think I have free time that you don't have. We have time. It's our time. Our time is different. Our schedules are different. And so I just wanted to drop by and just drop a few words of encouragement to childless men and women around the world, to hang in there. I know I keep saying it. I know, but I just feel like I just want you to know that your world is not over. It's not the end. Just do the best with what you have. Turn things around, tweak things, tweak your life, tweak your schedule. Just do something different with your life than what you thought you would do, or what you imagined, or what you hoped for. I'm not saying give up. Don't give up. If you're still at the point where you may be able to have children, maybe you are going through infertility treatments, if that's what your heart is telling you to do, go for it. But if you're at the point where you know you will not have children, then don't become a wallflower. Don't say negative things to yourself, and stop living life. Live your best, most joyful life ever. Whatever that life is, do the best with what you have. Remain positive, put positive thoughts, affirmations in your mind. Keep it positive, even on the days and at the times when you just don't feel like it. Remember, you are somebody. You were created just like everybody else. You are a human being. You have worth. You are worthy of a good life, childless or not. You are worthy. Keep that in your mind. Tell yourself that every day. You are worthy. I am worthy. We are worthy. We are all human and we are worthy. We have a right to be here on this planet. We are worthy. Hang in there. Thanks again for visiting, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Have a good one.